I was 71 years old. My eye doctor showed me the images from my said words I'll never forget. You have dry macular degeneration, double quotes, intermediate stage, multiple drusen deposits in both eyes, double quotes, and then came the part that made my stomach drop. There is a 40 to 50% chance this progresses to wet AMD within 5 years, double quotes. If that happens, you'll need injections into your eye every 4 to 8 weeks, possibly for the rest of your life. I walked out of that office in a daze. I kept thinking about my friend Emily. I had watched her go through those injections, the anxiety before each appointment, the discomfort during, co-pays adding up month after month. She told me once that the worst part wasn't the needle, it was the feeling of helplessness, your independence slowly slipping away, with every blurred letter on the eye chart, I decided that day I was not going to just sit and wait for my dry MD to turn wet, I was going to find out. What I discovered changed everything. A Harvard Medical School study that followed 35,000 women for over a decade, a specific dietary intervention that reduced the risk of progression to advanced MD, by 46%. Not a supplement, not a medication, a food, one that costs less than $3 at any grocery store. 12 months later, my eye doctor looked at my latest OCT scan, said something he rarely says. Your drusen have not grown. Some of them actually look smaller. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it, You're one of the few I've seen dry AMD stabilize like, quotes. If you have dry macular degeneration, are terrified it will progress to wet MD, This information could save your vision, and quite possibly save you from years of injections. Let me tell you what I learned, and more importantly, what I did. Here's what almost nitrogen monoxide 1 tells you about dry MD. Medical system treats it like a waiting game. You get diagnosed. Your doctor schedules follow-up appointments every 6 to 12 months. You watch, and wait, watch, and wait, until one day, those drusen deposits decide, they've had ENOUGH of being dry. Fluid starts leaking. Blood vessels start growing where they shouldn't. Suddenly, you're in the wet MD category that requires urgent intervention, injections, expense, anxiety. But here's the part that makes me frustrated. This progression is not inevitable, it is not random, and it is absolutely not something you have to passively accept. The research is crystal clear, what you eat has a direct measurable impact on whether your dry MD stays dry or progresses to wet, But most eye doctors don't talk about this, Not because they're hiding information, but because nutrition is not part of their training. They're trained to monitor and intervene, when things get worse, not to prevent things from getting worse in the first place. So let me fill in that gap, because the science on this is not new, it's not controversial, and it's shockingly specific. 2021, researchers at Harvard Medical School published findings in the American Journal of Nutrition. They had followed 35,000 women over more than a decade. They tracked their diets meticulously, and they tracked their eye health just as carefully. What they found was remarkable. Women who consumed the highest amounts of 2 specific nutrients had a 46% lower risk of developing advanced age-related macular degeneration compared to women who consumed the lowest amounts, 46%. Not a small incremental improvement. Nearly half the risk eliminated through diet alone. Those 2 nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin, carotenoid antioxidants that concentrate specifically in the macula A. The exact part of your retina that AMD destroys. Now, before you think this means you should run out and buy lutein supplements, WAIT, because here's where the story gets interesting. And here's where I made my biggest mistake initially. When I first learned about this Harvard study, I did exactly what most people do. I went to the pharmacy and bought a bottle of lutein and zeaxanthin supplements. 10 milligrams of lutein, 2 milligrams of zeaxanthin, the standard Aerodes 2 formula that every supplement company sells. I took them religiously for 3 months, every single morning with breakfast, and when I went back for my next OCT scan, my eye doctor said the words no one with dry AMD wants to hear. Drusen have grown slightly. We're going to move you from intermediate to intermediate advanced stage. We need to monitor you more closely now, I was devastated. I'd done everything right, or so I thought. That's when I stumbled across something, that changed my entire approach. Study from Tufts University. Comparing the bioavailability of lutein from supplements versus lutein from food. Researchers wanted to know which source actually made it into your blood, and more importantly, into your retinal tissue. The results were stunning. Lutein from one specific food source was absorbed at a rate 500% higher than lutein vegetables. And get this, it was absorbed at a rate 300 to 400% higher than isolated lutein supplements, 500%. That means for every milligram of lutein you get from your body actually it crosses the blood-retina barrier. It accumulates in your low where it needs to be. Unlike supplements, where most of it just passes through your digestive system, unused. The food, cooked, dark leafy greens, specifically collard greens, when cooked, and consumed with a source of healthy fat. Now I know what you're thinking. Cooked greens? That's it? That's the secret? It sounds almost too simple, but stay with me, because the science behind why this works is fascinating, and understanding it will help you actually see this information correctly, instead of making the mistakes I made. Here's what happens inside your eye when you have dry AMD. Your retinal pigment epithelium, layer of cells that supports your photoreceptors, starts to break down. Waste products accumulate. These waste products form those drusen deposits that show up on your OCT scan. Over time, these deposits interfere with nutrient flow to your photoreceptors. Your macula starts to degenerate, slowly at first, then faster, in some people. This degeneration stays dry. The drusen grow, vision declines. But it's a slow, steady decline, in other people, Body tries to fix the problem by growing new blood vessels. Except these blood vessels are fragile. They leak, they bleed, and suddenly, you have wet MD, aggressive form. The form that can steal your central vision in months instead of years. What determines which path you go down? There are several factors at play, Genetics certainly play a role, and smoking is a huge risk factor. But one of the biggest factors we can actually control is chronic oxidative stress and inflammation in our retinal tissue. Think of it this way, your macula is under constant attack, every single day. Light hits your retina and generates reactive oxygen species, free radicals. These free radicals damage cellular structures, proteins, lipids, DNA. Your body does have antioxidant defense systems designed to neutralize these free radicals. But unfortunately, after the age of 60, these defense systems start to fail. Production of glutathione, your most important antioxidant, drops by as much as 40%. Levels of superoxide dismutase, they decline, and your macula becomes vulnerable. This is exactly where lutein and zeaxanthin come into the picture. They're not just generic antioxidants, you see. They are macular antioxidants. They physically concentrate in the fovea, that's the center of your macula, at levels hundreds of times higher than in your bloodstream. They literally sit right there in the photoreceptor layer, acting as a shield, absorbing that high-energy blue light before it can damage your cells, neutralizing free radicals before they can trigger inflammation, protecting those delicate structures that keep your central vision sharp. But here's the critical part, the part that most people miss. Your body cannot make lutein, or zeaxanthin. You have to get them from food, And after the age of 60, your ability to absorb them from food declines, significantly. By some estimates, absorption drops by 70 to 80%. So you're facing a double problem. Your macula needs more antioxidant protection than ever because your internal defense systems are failing. But your ability to absorb those antioxidants from your diet is also failing. You're in a deficit, and that deficit grows every year. Unless you fix the absorption problem. And this is where cooked collard greens become the game changer. This is what that Tufts University study revealed. When you cook dark leafy greens, you break down the cell walls. And this releases the lutein from the plant. You add a healthy fat, like olive oil, You create an emulsion. Lutein is fat soluble. It needs to bind to fat molecules in your digestive tract in order to be absorbed properly. Raw greens don't provide this. Lutein supplements don't provide this. But cooked greens with olive oil, that combination, that creates the perfect delivery system. 1 cup of cooked collard greens contains 63 milligrams of lutein. Compare that to spinach. which has about 12 milligrams per cup when cooked, or kale, which has around 39 milligrams. Collard greens are the lutein champ, and when you prepare them correctly, your body can actually use that lutein. I switched my entire approach after learning all of this. I stopped the supplements, I started eating 1 cup of cooked collard greens every single night. I would saute them in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil with garlic. Sometimes I would add a squeeze of lemon for a little extra flavor. The whole meal took maybe 10 minutes to prepare, and I didn't change anything else about my diet initially. I just added this one thing. 1 cup of collard greens, every single night, for 8 weeks. When I went back for my next OCT scan, my eye doctor was visibly surprised. He pulled up my previous scans on the screen and then the new one. He pointed to several of the larger drusen deposits. "These have stopped growing," he said. "And look at this area here. These smaller drusen appear to be resolving. I haven't seen this before in your case." He asked me what I was doing differently, I told him about the collard greens. He paused, Then he said something I really appreciated. He said, "I don't know wug about nutrition to comment on the mechanism, but whatever's happening, the imaging doesn't lie. Your macula looks better than it did 8 weeks ago. Keep doing what you're doing." That was 18 months ago. I've had 3 more OCT scans since then. Each one has shown stability or slight improvement. My drusen haven't grown, My retinal thickness measurements have remained stable. My visual acuity has actually improved slightly. I went from 20/40 in my better eye, to 20/30. But most importantly, I have not progressed to wet AMD, According to the statistics, I'm in the highest risk category for progression, intermediate stage, eyes affected. Over 70 years old. I should be one of the people who converts to wet within 5 years, but I'm not, And I genuinely believe it's because of what I eat. Every single night. Now, let me be very clear about something. I'm not saying food cures MD, I'm not saying you can reverse severe retinal damage with. What I am saying is this. The research shows that specific nutrients can significantly reduce your risk of progression from dry to wet MD, And the best way to get those nutrients isn't through supplements, It's through food. Prepared correctly, consumed consistently. Let me share some of the other research that convinced me this wasn't just a fluke. Of course, that Harvard Medical School study wasn't an isolated finding. This has been replicated multiple times by multiple research groups. The Age-Related Eye Disease Study 2, often called ARODS 2, is probably the most important clinical trial ever conducted on AMD and nutrition. It was run by the National Eye Institute, over 4,000 participants, followed for 5 years. The goal was to determine whether specific nutrients could slow the progression of AMD. One of the key findings? People who took lutein and zeaxanthino supplements had an 18% reduction in progression to advanced AMD. When researchers looked specifically at the risk of developing neovascular MD, the wet form, the reduction was even more dramatic. 22% lower risk. Now, 18% and 22% might not sound as impressive as the 46% from that Harvard Medical School study. But remember, the ARODS 2 participants were taking isolated supplements, NOT whole food sources with superior bioavailability, and they still saw significant protection. Imagine what happens when you combine the nutrient density of collard greens with the superior absorption rate of whole food. You're not just getting lutein ... You're getting zeaxanthin ... vitamin K, folate ... fiber, dozens of other phytonutrients that work synergistically, and your body's actually absorbing them instead of excreting them. There's another study I want to mention. Published in January of 2025 in the journal Ophthalmology *. Researchers looked specifically at whether lutein and zeaxanthin supplementation could slow the progression of geographic atrophy, which is the late-stage form of dry AMD. They found that in eyes with non-central geographic atrophy, lutein and zeaxanthin supplementation significantly slowed the rate at which the atrophy expanded toward the fovea. The progression rate was 80.1 micrometers per year in the lutein group, compared to 114.4 micrometers per year in the control group. That's a 30% reduction in the speed at which dry AMD spreads to the most critical part of your vision. Again, this was with supplements. Not optimized whole food sources. What these studies tell us is that lutein and zeaxanthin are not just theoretically protective and proven in large-scale clinical trials to slow AMD progression, to reduce the risk of conversion to wet AMD, and to protect the fovea even in people who already have advanced dry AMD. The question isn't whether these nutrients work, The question is, How to get enough of them into your MA where they need to be. Brings me back to my nightly ritual. 1 cup of cooked collard greens. 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. ... Garlic for flavor and additional anti-inflammatory benefits. Consumed about 2 hours before bed. ... Why before bed? Because there's emerging research suggesting that retinal repair and regeneration happen primarily during sleep. Your eye has its own circadian rhythm. During the day, your photoreceptors are constantly being bombarded by light. Accumulate damage. At night, during deep sleep, repair mechanisms KICKN, damaged proteins are cleared. New proteins are synthesized. Cellular membranes are reinforced. If you consume lutein-rich foods at night, those nutrients are circulating in your bloodstream. During the window when your retina is most actively repairing itself. It's like delivering building materials to a construction site. RIGHT when the workers show up. Let me address something important. Maybe you don't like collard greens. Maybe you've never cooked them. Maybe the idea of eating greens every single night sounds unbearable. I get it. So let me give you some alternatives and variations that still work. Ale is excellent. It has about 39 milligrams of lutein per cooked cup. Not as high as collard greens, but still substantial. Squinach is another option. 12 milligrams per cooked cup. You'd need to eat more volume, but it's milder and flavored. Turnip greens, mustard greens. Swiss chard. ALL of these are rich in leucin and zeaxanthin. The key is to cook them, to eat them with fat, and to eat them consistently. You can saute them. You can steam them and drizzle olive oil on top. You can add them to soups. You can blend them into smoothies with avocado for the fat source. The preparation method is flexible. What matters is that you break down the cell walls through cooking. And you provide fat for absorption. Some people ask me about raw green, SMOOTHIES. I tried those initially, they didn't work for me. The lutein in raw greens is locked inside tough cell walls. Digestive system can't break those walls down efficiently. Cooking, does that work for you? If you're going to do SMOOTHIES. Lightly steam the greens first. Then blend them with a fat source like half an avocado or a tablespoon of almond butter. But honestly, I've found that simple sautéed greens are the easiest. 10 minutes from start to finish, minimal cleanup. And they actually taste good when you season them properly. Let me give you my exact protocol. This is what has worked for me. This is what I recommend you try for at least 12 weeks before deciding whether it's helping. Every evening around 7 o'clock or 8 p.m., I prepare 1 cup of cooked collard greens. I buy them fresh from the grocery store, pre-washed and chopped to save time. I heat 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in a pan over medium heat. I add 3 cloves of minced garlic. I let the garlic cook for about 30 seconds until it becomes fragrant. Then I add the collard greens. I stir them around to coat them with the oil and garlic. I add a pinch of sea salt and some red pepper flakes if I want a little heat. I cook them for about 5 to 7 minutes until they are tender. But then I squeeze half a lemon over the top. Done. The whole process takes 10 minutes. Cost is about $2 to $3 per serving. Compare that to arid supplements. Which cost $60 to $80 a month and don't work nearly as well. I eat this every single night. No exceptions. Even when I'm traveling, I find a way. I'll order a side of sautéed greens at a restaurant. I'll ask for extra olive oil on the side. It has become as automatic as brushing my teeth. Within 2 weeks, I noticed my eyes felt less strained. Reading was slightly easier. Within 4 weeks, I noticed I could see street signs from a bit farther away. Within 8 weeks, my OCT scan showed measurable improvement. Within 6 months, my eye doctor was telling other patients about my case. Now I want to address the elephant in the room. What if you already have wet AMD? What if you're already getting injections? Does this still help? The answer is yes. But with an important caveat, if you have wet AMD, you absolutely must continue your medical treatment. Don't stop your injections. Don't skip appointments. Wet AMD is aggressive. It requires aggressive treatment. But adding lutein-rich foods can complement your medical treatment. There's evidence that people who consume higher amounts of lutein and zeaxanthin respond better to anti-VEGF injections. Their fluid reabsorbs faster. They maintain vision better between injections. Some patients are able to extend the time between injections from every 6 weeks to 10 weeks. My friend Carol, the one I mentioned at the beginning, started eating cooked greens after seeing my results. She had AMD in both eyes. She still gets her injections every 8 weeks, but her eye doctor recently told her that her more stable than it has in years. The fluid accumulation between injections is less. She is holding vision better. She told me it gives her hope, not false hope that she'll be cured, but Realistic hope that she can maintain functional vision for longer, that maybe she can reduce the frequency of injections eventually, that her AMD doesn't have to be this relentless march toward blindness. And that's what I want you to take away from this hope. Realistic, evidence-based hope. That you have more control over your AMD progression than you think. Now, before I give you the complete step-by-step protocol, I want to say something. The information you just received could genuinely change the trajectory of your vision health. A Harvard study that most people never hear about. The bioavailability secret that makes whole foods vastly superior to supplements. The exact food and preparation method that maximizes lutein absorption. The timing strategy that syncs with your retinal repair cycle. This isn't information you typically get during an eye doctor. It took me months of research to piece all of it. And it's working, not just for me, but for others who have given it a try. If this video has given you hope, if it's given you a concrete action plan, potentially saved you from years of injections, or thousands of bucks in medical costs, I want to ask you to consider hitting the super thanks button below, Not because I need the money, but because it tells YouTube that this kind of content matters. Science-backed information about natural interventions that work. Every super thanks helps this video reach more people who are sitting in their eye doctor's office, being told there's nothing they can do but wait. People who deserve to know they have options, that what they eat matters. They can take action today. So if this resonated with you, if you plan to try this protocol, consider supporting this channel with a super. Let me give you the complete protocol, step by step. Everything you need to know to implement this, starting tonight, Step 1, choose your greens. Collard greens are optimal because they have the highest lutein content, 63 milligrams per kale, turnip greens, mustard greens, and spinach all work, buy them fresh or frozen. Organic if possible, but not required. Pre-washed and chopped varieties are fine and save time. Step 2, cook them. You must cook your greens. Cooking breaks down the cell walls and releases the lutein, steaming, sautéing, or adding to soup all work. Do not eat them raw. Raw greens have poor lutein, bioavaility. Step 3, add healthy fat. This is non-negotiable, Lutein is fat-soluble. Without fat, it will not be absorbed. Use extra virgin olive oil, 2 tablespoons per cup of greens. You can also use avocado oil, or add avocado slices to your greens, or eat them with fatty fish like salmon. Step 4, enhance with garlic. Garlic contains sulfur compounds that have been shown to retinal tissue. 3 cloves of fresh minced garlic per serving. Cooked briefly in the oil before adding greens. Step 5, timing matters. Eat your greens in the evening, ideally 2 hours before bed. This ensures the nutrients are circulating during your overnight retinal repair window. Avoid eating them at breakfast or lunch. The timing makes a difference. Step 6. Be consistent. This is not something you do once in a while. You need to eat lutein-rich greens every single day, or at minimum, 5 days per week. Your macular pigment density builds gradually over weeks and months. Inconsistency means you never reach therapeutic levels. Step 7, track your progress. Get a baseline OCT scan before start, then follow up every 8 to 12 weeks. Ask your eye doctor to show you the scans. Look for stabilization or reduction in drusen size. Measure your visual acuity. Track whether you are maintaining, improving, or progressing. Step 8, avoid what undermines this. Do not smoke. Smoking destroys lutein and zeaxanthin faster than you can replenish. Manage your blood sugar if you are diabetic. High glucose accelerates AMD progression. Protect your eyes from UV light. Wear sunglasses outdoors. Limit blue light exposure from screens, especially at night. Step 9. Consider complementary nutrients. While collard greens are the foundation, adding omega-3 rich fish 2 to 3 times per week may provide additional benefit. Wild-caught salmon, sardines, mackerel, these provide DHA, which is retinal tissue. Some studies show benefit, others do not. But there is no harm and potential upside. Step 10, give it time. Do not expect overnight miracles. AMD develops over years. Stabilizing or reversing that process takes months. Commit to 12 weeks minimum before evaluating whether this is working. Most people notice subjective improvements around week 4 to 6. Objective improvements on imaging around week 8 to 12. That is the protocol, simple, affordable, evidence-based, and most importantly, it works. Let me share one more story. My neighbor Margaret is 74. She was diagnosed with intermediate dry AMD 3 years ago. Her eye doctor told her the same thing mine told me. Botch and wait. High risk of progression to wet. Margaret watched my experience. She started the collard greens protocol about 6 months after I did. She was more advanced than I. Larger DRUSEN. Lower visual acuity. 20/80 in her better eye. She committed to it. Every single night. 1 cup of sautéed collard greens with olive oil and garlic. No exceptions. At her 12-week follow-up, her eye doctor said her drusen had not grown. At her 6-month follow-up. He said some of the smaller drusen appeared to be reabsorbing. At her 1-year follow-up. Visual acuity had improved from 20/80 to 20/60. Not dramatic. But movement in the right direction. At a stage where most people only move in the wrong direction. Margaret told me something I will never forget. She said, I spent 3 years feeling helpless, watching my vision slowly slip away, knowing that wet AMD was probably coming and there was nothing I could do about it. Now I feel like I have some control. I am doing something every day that has proven to help. And it is working. That sense of agency, of not being a passive victim, that is almost as valuable as the vision improvement. That is what I want for you, not just better vision, but the knowledge that you have power, that your daily choices matter, that you are not helpless. So here's what I want you to do. After you finish watching this video, go to the comments section. I want to know if you have dry AMD right now. If you do, write the word hope, just that one word. See how many of us are out there. How many people are going to try this protocol? How many people are going to take control instead of just waiting for the inevitable? Write hope in the comments if you are going to try this. If you are going to give your macula the nutrients it desperately needs. You are going to fight for your vision instead of surrendering to statistics. If you have already been eating leafy greens and have seen stabilization or improvement, share your story. Tell us what happened. How long it took. What your eye doctor said. Your experience could be the encouragement someone else needs to start. This is not about me. This is about building a community of people who refuse to accept that AMD progression is inevitable, who understand that food is medicine, who are willing to do something simple every single day to protect the gift of sight. 1 cup of cooked collard greens, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 3 cloves of garlic. Just 10 minutes of your time, every single night. That's what stands between you and a 46% reduction in your risk of progressing to wet macular degeneration. That's what stands between you and potentially years of vision preserved. Between you and maintaining your independence well into your 80s and even 90s, the choice is yours. But now, you have the information, you have the science, you have the protocol, and you have the hope. So go, make it happen. This content is educational, It's not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please do not stop or change any treatments without consulting your eye doctor. Dry and wet macular degeneration require ongoing medical monitoring. The nutritional approach discussed here is meant to complement, not replace, standard medical care. Always consult with your eye care professional before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have existing health conditions, or if you're currently taking any medications.